Every country has its own unique spices and flavor profiles, and some know how to crank up the heat in ways you can't even imagine. So make sure you have your ice cubes and milk handy, because these are the spiciest dishes from around the world. When you're looking to travel to some place where the palm trees sway and calypso music rings through the streets at all hours of the day, there's only one destination you should have in mind: Jamaica. Island life is one that many of us fantasize about, but if you can't move there permanently, even just a short visit to this paradise is enough to beat back the hectic stress of everyday life. However, that relaxation your body feels can come to a screeching halt if you decide to embark on the spice journey that is jerk chicken. This spicy dish is found all over Jamaica, and even though you might have tried it at some local place near where you live, it's likely not properly chock full of the spices they have on the island. The chicken is smothered in a mixture of thyme, garlic, nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, and scallions, but the heat comes from a healthy dose of either Scotch bonnet peppers or habaneros. Don't be a jerk and say we didn't warn you.
It burns.
If you're familiar at all with the Indonesian language, you might hear Otak-Otak and shudder with disgust, as it means brains. But fear not, as there aren't any actual brains contained in these green pouches of tightly wrapped banana leaves. The name simply refers to the physical appearance, although honestly that might still freak some people out. If you can get past the visual discomfort, you'll be treated to a delicious dish with a whole lot of heat raging through it. Inside the outer banana leaf is a seafood cake made up of ground fish, tapioca starch, and native spices called belacan and galangal that look similar to ginger but have the flavor profile of pepper. The heat comes from various local peppers ground up and mixed into the molded leaf. The color of Indonesian otak-otak is white, while Malaysia and Singapore have their own darker versions of the dish, the hue of which are due to the addition of turmeric, chili, and curry powders. When you're describing heat levels to someone curious about exploring the exhilarating world of Scoville units, they'd likely lose interest in tempting their tongue on something that shares the same surname as death itself. But if that hooded embodiment of horror doesn't send shivers down their spines, then maybe they're actually ready for the world's spiciest pepper, the Carolina Reaper. The Carolina Reaper didn't actually grow naturally. Instead, it was created by Ed Curry, the founder of the popular Pucker Butt Pepper Company. He came up with the blazing idea while studying indigenous populations near the equator. As he told Thrillist in 2019, one of the things they all had in common is they don't have heart disease or cancer. And one of the things they all had in common was capsicums at just about every meal and in their water. Curry learned that there were some anti-cancer properties in capsaicin, the ingredient that produces the burn in hot peppers. So after some work crossbreeding various peppers that he owned, he ended up with one that holds the Guinness World Record as the hottest on the planet, checking in at a frightening 1,641,000 Scoville heat units. There's a reason why Phaal is phonetically similar to fail. Unless you have a tolerance to heat that rivals Satan's, there's no way you'll make it through this spicy dish with any measure of success. But if you decide to ignore your taste buds and take the plunge into Phaal Curry, you thankfully don't have to schlep all the way to the United Kingdom, where it originated. In New York City, the Brick Lane Curry House serves it up to those who dare to brave the waters.
I'm feeling numb. It does taste good though.
This dish is so hot that the chefs who prepare it wear gas masks to prevent the pepper fumes from torching their nostrils and throats. Using 10 to 12 chili peppers, including the Carolina Reaper, the final product measures up at over 2 million Scoville units. The Brick Lane Curry House's website even has a disclaimer about it, which reads, "An excruciatingly hot curry, more pain and sweat than flavor. For our customers who do this on a dare, we require you to state a verbal disclaimer not holding us liable for any physical or emotional damage after eating the curry." We're already sweating just reading that. Cuisine from China's Sichuan province is renowned as some of the spiciest in the world, so when you sit down to a meal with dishes from this region, just know that you're traversing territory that will set your tongue on fire. One of the most popular dishes is hot pot, a big cauldron of boiling pepper oil broth full of a variety of vegetables and meats. Everything floating in the dark red liquid is glistening with flavor, but that doesn't mean that just anyone can dive in head first without a problem. Don't let that amazing aroma of meats and spices fool you. Bobbing all around the pot like sizzling buoys are boatloads of Sichuan peppers ready to attack your mouth and leave you regretting your decision to indulge. In addition to the spice level being off the charts, the temperature of the pepper oil is enough to take a few layers of skin off your mouth, making hot pots a 1-2 punch of terrifying cuisine. The name of this dish is quite a mouthful, but if you like heat, don't let the potential shame of potentially mispronouncing it veer you off its course. The delicious and spicy Peruvian appetizer known as papa a la huancaína is basically a mound of boiled yellow potatoes with a hard-boiled egg resting on top. Sounds pretty innocent, right? Well, not after you ladle on a heaping dose of that rich yellow sauce, which will smack you hard right across the face. It's easy to doubt this dish's heat bona fides thanks to its decidedly non-terrifying yellow color. It simply doesn't have that dark red hue alerting you to the Scoville terror inside. But the sauce is loaded with both ají amarillo and habanero peppers, making for a surprisingly scorching flavor. Weirdly enough, this dish is served cold, which also might fool you into thinking that it's tame. But don't go in unprepared or you'll be in for the surprise of your life. There's really no reason to dabble in the spicy paste known as wasabi unless you're eating sushi. Every sushi addict out there is familiar with that little nugget of neon green that comes with each dish. Japan offers one of the most unusual spice experiences with wasabi. Instead of a dense burn that lingers on the tongue for a while after exposure, wasabi hits you fast and hard for only a matter of several seconds, and then it completely fades away just as quickly. It's placed on sushi in very small amounts to help add another level of flavor to the fish. But sushi connoisseurs will tell you that the stuff that nearly all of us get at our favorite Japanese restaurants, over 95% reportedly, isn't actually authentic. How can this lack of spicy authenticity be true? As it turns out, the actual wasabi plant is difficult to grow, which makes it in turn expensive to purchase. The shelf life is also short, so it's not in a restaurant's best interest to buy it. So instead of the real thing, many places make their own so-called wasabi using horseradish, mustard seed, cornstarch, and green food dye. However, even though the stuff at your local sushi spot may not be legit, it still has that brief but searing burn sushi heads know and love.
Wasabi. Lots. Wasabi.
Chips are a classic party food staple. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't love munching down a handful while they mingle with friends. That is, unless somehow a deadly Paqui chip found its way into the bowl, cleverly disguising itself as an innocent Dorito, when in reality it's a triangle of pure terror waiting to send an unsuspecting eater into instant panic mode. Videos of people attempting the Paqui challenge tore through YouTube when the chip hit the market, and most were left in tears at its evil power. The challenge was simple: eat the chip and see how long you can last without milk, water, or anything else that dulls the heat. It sounds simple until you realize each single wrapped corn chip is covered in a thick dusting of spicy Carolina Reaper peppers, scorpion peppers, and Sichuan peppercorns. Paqui has warned those who attempt the challenge to wear gloves so that they don't accidentally touch their eyes while trying to endure the sudden rush of pain, as the only thing potentially worse than the burn is the realization that you've permanently blinded yourself.
Oh, it's hot.
For those unfamiliar with kimchi, it's a very polarizing food. Some people absolutely love the salted and fermented Korean cabbage and radishes, but others are completely turned off by its sour taste. Regardless of what you think of the flavor, it's one of the healthiest foods in the world, and over 1.5 billion tons of it is consumed every year in the country. Clearly, there's something to this dish that has so many people going crazy for it. Fewer kimchi fans, however, dare to dabble in a version called Kimchi Jjigae. Green onions, garlic, tofu, mushrooms, and a ton of red chilies join forces in a big boiling pot of broth in this dish. The essence of all the ingredients slowly seep out, creating a rich and incredibly flavorful experience. But at the same time, it also offers intense amounts of heat. And considering that the broth is a scorching hot temperature as well, it can prove tough to handle if you're not super keen on spicy things. India is full of incredibly unique spices, which naturally enough has helped cement it as a country with some of the spiciest cuisine on the planet. The city of Goa is where the dish known as pork vindaloo originated, and it's a mixture of insane heat and vinegary tang that you'll want to try if you never have before. Oddly enough, even though the word aloo in Hindi means potato, traditional vindaloo doesn't include potatoes. It does, however, have several other ingredients that are intent on testing the limits of your stomach lining. That ingredient list in pork vindaloo isn't particularly long or intricate. It consists of garlic, pork fat, vinegar, cane sugar, and enough Kashmiri chilies to scare off magma. The meat usually marinates for at least one full day before serving so that it soaks up as much of the painful heat as possible. There's only one thing to do after it's ready to be served. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and prepare your throat for a deep volcanic dive. If you're planning a trip around the world specifically to try unique spicy dishes, Ethiopia might not jump out immediately as a top choice, but it would be a mistake to overlook it. Ethiopia offers a stew called what, and it's more than worth venturing off course for. It's full of chicken, beef, veggies, and spices sizzling in a broth thickened by cooked onions. But it's the combination of spices that takes center stage and steal the show. The heat stems from an Ethiopian spice mixture called berbere, which consists of a variety of ingredients like chilies, garlic, ginger, basil, and several more. Traditionally, what is eaten on top of a spongy flatbread, which helps absorb some of the spice so that it doesn't rock your world too much. But that doesn't change the fact that you should, as with all of these dishes, still proceed with caution. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite foods are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.